So I knew I wanted to make a video today, but I wasn't entirely sure what I wanted to talk about. And then it finally occurred to me. I want to talk a little bit about dealing with the highs and lows of life, because we all have them. You know, I feel like spiritual awakening can sometimes be glamorized as this thing that once you achieve it or attain it, that you just no longer have any problems and you're just sort of in this happy, blissful state most of the time or all of the time. And although that might be the case for many people, it's definitely not the case for me, and probably not most people. I think that's probably a very advanced stage of all of the spiritual work. You reach a point where you're not affected by anything externally at all. Your environment doesn't matter. You're just in a complete blissful state at all times. But like I said, I think that's probably pretty rare. You know, when the storm comes, literally speaking, when a storm comes, it typically doesn't have a profound effect on us. It doesn't cause us to go into a deep depression. It doesn't give us a ton of anxiety, maybe a little bit. Typically, the effects that we feel from a storm only last a little bit. We might feel a little down when it comes, when the rain comes, maybe just for that day, but it doesn't really bother us that much. And the reason being is because we know it's going to pass. You know that no matter when a storm comes, it's going to pass eventually, right? Thunderstorms don't just stay thunderstorms forever. And you know this, but when the mental storm comes, when we feel a ton of negative emotions, or we feel a bunch of mental turmoil or suffering, we go through the lows of life, the hard situations, the breakups, the job losses, the feelings of inadequacy, they don't ever quite feel like they're going to pass, because it's affecting us directly. The storm is only in fact affecting our environment, the thunderstorm, but these types of things are more internal, and they're threatening our whole persona. They're threatening our whole being, our whole idea of who we think we are. And that's why when these things come, when the lows of life come, they never quite feel like they're going to pass. They feel very permanent. Anxiety feels very permanent. Depressing thoughts feel very permanent. And what we do is this kind of creates this vicious cycle of getting attached to them, because we don't think they're ever going to pass. So we think that this is just our permanent state, and it just feels so real. You know, when I was in my younger days, when I was suffering from a lot of depression, I never really thought it was going to go away. And that's the issue, right? We cling to the lows. We cling to the highs as well, but we really cling to the lows. But they do pass eventually. They always pass. It just doesn't ever feel like it. And this is why I'm a huge advocate for reflecting back on the things that you've been through, both the highs and the lows. Think about all of the lows you've been through, all of the hard times, all of the breakups, all of the, tough, challenging situations you've been through. You got through all of it, although there might be some lingering pain there. It didn't last forever. The situation didn't last forever, and even your feelings about it didn't last forever. Eventually, it passed away. And this is why I also say about the highs of life, when you find yourself chasing things, you're chasing that perfect relationship or that perfect job opportunity or this achievement or this milestone or whatever our human brain likes to chase. I say the same thing. I say, think back to everything you've ever chased in the past that you finally got, all of the amazing things that you've gotten in life. It never really lasted, did it? It might have provided a sense of happiness and comfort for a while. It might have even helped you to get to the next phase and step in your life, and it was all entirely necessary. But it never really solved the problem. It never really brought you that long-lasting happiness and satisfaction. This is why it's extremely important to not get too attached to experience, to the things around you, the things that you go through, because it's all passing. It's all transient. It comes and goes. The times of sadness, the times of extreme excitement, the times of pain, the times of joy, the times of feeling good, all of it, it just comes and goes always. The only thing that remains permanent and stable through all of that is your ability to be there for all of it, to be there through all of it. Think about all of your emotions and your thoughts and your good times and your bad. Think of all of that was just happening around you instead of to you. You were there to observe it, like a show, like a film, right? No matter how dramatic the film might be, no matter how, no matter how into the film you are. You ever watch like a really good film and it feels like you're almost in there? It feels like it's never going to end. You're not even thinking about the ending. You're so enthralled by it. Eventually the film comes to an end. And it's the same thing for the film of life. It all comes to an end eventually. And it's important to remain in that observer state when you're going through the lows and highs of life, is to just not just almost, you almost want to act as if you're watching them happen to somebody else. They're happening to you, but almost as if this person isn't really you. You're the awareness kind of sitting behind this person who's kind of going through the motions of life and going through all of these things and these experiences. And you're just sort of watching all of it. Once you can master that, you become affected by very little. And even me, I've done a lot of this work for a while now. It's been about 6 years. I've done a lot of healing. I've done a lot of shadow work. I've done a lot of different meditation styles. I spent a lot of time meditating and figuring things out and listening to spiritual thought talks. But you know what? I still go through the highs and the lows of life. And it isn't about avoiding the lows or chasing the highs. It's not about adapting this sort of very nihilistic sort of mentality, like you should just not do anything because it's all a waste of time and life is this scary, evil place. No. You don't want to fall into that nihilistic trap. You can still have the highs of life and the excitement and the joy, but you don't attach yourself to them. You just let everything come and go. You can enjoy what life brings you. You can disregard the things that you don't want to associate with, the people you don't want to associate with. But you stay complacent in a state of detachment to all of it. Because you simply know that it all is temporary and it's all transient. See, the problem is, the reason we suffer is that we get attached to transitory, temporary things. We get overly attached to our human relationships. We get overly attached to our role in life and our career. All of these things that at any point in time can simply just end. And it's not about the fact that you need to sit there in anxiety thinking that they're going to end at any time, but you just understand that everything is temporary, right? It's all a passing show. The only thing that's stable in all of it, the only thing that doesn't change, that isn't transient or temporary, is simply our own consciousness, is our own ability to observe and be aware of it all. Now, some people argue that even awareness is transient and not really a stable thing. That's just not my belief personally. I believe that there's always something here that can be aware of all of it. Awareness or consciousness or the observer, the self, whatever you want to call it. It is always there, I think. You see, the highs and lows of life, they're all a part of the same cycle. They're all a part of this movie around us, but our brain, our mind likes to pick them apart. No, I want to avoid this. No, I want this, right? It's like every little moment we're trying to control. We're trying to latch on to every little thing that happens, or we're trying to avoid every little thing that happens. But true freedom, it doesn't lie in getting what you want or not getting what you're trying to avoid. It lies in just being an observer to all of it. And trying to observe things without getting attached to them can be challenging and difficult. But it really is as simple as just allowing your mind to just be silent and your body. It's really a matter of just physically relaxing your body and allowing your mind to quiet and just observing it, really. Like the way that I would observe these trees without trying to name them or put, oh, well, this is the brown tree or the brown oak with bark and leaves and branches and just all of this stuff that my mind is trying to conceptualize and make sense of. But what if I just sat here and just looked at the trees without having to do all of that and just letting the tree just be there without shapes and names and colors? What if you did that for the bad experiences that you're going through, or the people you don't like, or, the things that you're chasing or you're trying to avoid? Every time your mind thinks it needs something, I need this person, or I need this, I need that. What if you just didn't try to make any sense of any of it? You didn't try to latch onto it. You didn't attach yourself to it, but you said just observed it. What if you actually took whatever that thing is and just looked at it from a very realistic lens? Let's like, what is $1 million if you really think about it logically? It's a pile of paper, of green cotton, that society deemed means something, right? Now, I'm not saying money is not important, but to cause yourself this much suffering over it, when really that's all it is. It's, if you were to take a suitcase full of $1 million and go find some isolated tribe in South America somewhere, that just lives off their land and they have their little community and their family, and you were to go hand them a suitcase full of, $1 million, they probably, it would mean nothing to them probably. They would probably just look at it and use it to, wipe the sweat off their face. It's about gaining this understanding that everything that we think is so important to us and that we need, and all the things that we think are so terrible, are just creations of the mind. Reality is usually much more simpler than the stories we create for ourselves. And you can live in this very simple reality when you learn to observe and when you learn to abide in awareness. Now, it's not that reality itself isn't complex, because we still can't figure out what it is, but we really don't know. But our relation to reality, to this greater divine, is actually quite simple, right? Because happiness is never really found, or fulfillment or peace or whatever, it's never found in success or pleasure or achievement or status, or what we think of as love, this sort of needy kind of romantic attachment love. It's not really found in any of that stuff, because that stuff can seize at any point in time. But instead, it's really found in consciousness itself. And the ability to not cling or resist to anything, but rather go through life as if it's just a show happening around you. You're just like a character in a book, almost. I think what I can leave you with for now is to stop trying to pick apart every moment when you don't feel great. I have my low days as well. In fact, today, even when I woke up, I was feeling a little, not my usual self. But I think that's because we have a heat wave coming on, and I'm a little apprehensive about that, because then that means I'm going to have to be stuck inside for a long time. But you see, my mind is creating all the stories. Now I'm outside right now, and it's great, right? There was all this stuff on the weather app on my phone about a heat wave and a heat warning, and I was like, you know what, let me just go out and see. And I came here, and it's actually cool and nice and relaxing. See, my mind created all of that whole story. So don't cling to any of it, to the stories, to the emotions. Just let them all come and go. It never lasts. All right, I think that's all I have for today. I enjoyed this one a lot. I enjoyed making this one. This is a really important topic, and I feel like it was a little different from the stuff I usually talk about. So I hope you guys liked it too, and please feel free to comment below and let me know your thoughts. Thank you.